One might consider me a little mad to have waited this long to do a video on Mad World, but you know what? I have been busy, and I also happen to forget about it, but with good reasoning. There has been hardly any news on the game at all this year, with the team behind the upcoming MMORPG being pretty much silent for the vast majority of it. But last week they finally came out and released an update regarding the game's release schedule. And yeah, it is actually slated to still be coming out this year in 2020. With this in mind, I wanted to go ahead here and cover the game finally, because I feel like this is the perfect opportunity to. Mad World is an upcoming MMO coming out before the year ends after all, and I bet you guys are looking for a new game as much as any of us. So what is Mad World? An upcoming MMORPG that boasts a unique, completely hand-drawn, dark, gritty art style presented in a 2D isometric perspective, much like you'd find in games like Lost Ark or Project TL or even Path of Exile. This art style is used to illustrate a grim, dark, post-apocalyptic world filled with grotesque creatures, mutated humans, and a lack of any form of society. Mad World offers competitive PvP environments for players to partake of if they're interested in that aspect of the game, and various PvE-related elements as well, such as dynamic boss encounters out within the world, raiding for players that would rather competitive PvE, and a story that encompasses the bleak world you're now a part of. Speaking of PvE and PvP though, the combat from what I've actually seen looks pretty solid. I've seen large-scale battles, both mounted and on foot, in the combat, which is an isometric action type of combat, looks pretty damn good. This is a game that utilizes a very unique, very specific graphical style, so you can't expect combat or abilities akin to something out of like Blade and Soul or Black Desert, but the effects mesh brilliantly with the world they've built and fit the game style perfectly. Naturally, considering this is an MMO, you would expect there to be a broad selection of different classes to choose between, right? However, classes are very interestingly absent. Instead, players, and I'm gonna go ahead here and say their play style as opposed to class, is independent on what weapon you have equipped, with every weapon allowing for a completely separate combat style, including abilities specific to that weapon type. Players will have to choose a style that they want to play as and farm weapons of that type exclusively, but also learn to adapt to other styles of play in the chance that they find a much better weapon than what they have equipped. At the same time though, this means that every single player is going to be able to serve an individual purpose, with them being capable of providing or filling a role that is necessary for the group. And it is as simple as swapping weapons. While there will no doubt be large dynamic boss encounters spread throughout the world, there are a couple other types of non-combat related activities to engage in as well. And do note here that this is all they have currently elaborated on in terms of features right now. You can farm, you can hunt, there are obviously quests available to take and complete, but that is pretty much all that has been expanded on. We don't know what kinds of PvP are going to be available. We don't know the extent of the dungeon system or the raiding system. We don't know if there's going to be player housing. We don't know what the farming and the hunting is really going to entail. Now, Mad World is going to feature a large world to explore, but it'll be explorable much like Guild Wars 2 or Final Fantasy XIV. You'll be able to traverse between large segregated zones that are split off from one another by a small loading screen. This doesn't mean that the game is instanced though, as you'll find hundreds of other players around the world actively participating in world boss fights, quests, and generally farming for, for stuff, whatever people are going to be farming for. I just hope that there's enough to actually warrant going out into the world and doing other than fighting world bosses, and it's a little disconcerting that I don't see much in the way of actual info pertaining to dungeons or raids other than they'll be there. This is an MMO that is being built on HTML5, which means that not only will you be able to play this directly on your PC, but you can also play it on a browser without the need for installation, including on mobile devices, on console platforms, and anything else that has browser support. Not only will the game feature large-scale cross-platform compatibility, and before you guys say anything, because I know this is the first thought that crosses your mind when I say cross-platform compatibility, this game is first and foremost being built for PC. It is not being built for mobile, it is not being built for console. Every other platform is merely going to be compatible with the PC version, but at the same time, this game is also going to be completely free to play. Yes, the upcoming MMO Mad World is going to adopt a free-to-play business model with microtransactions. And I know, I do. But Sticks, this means that the game is going to be pay to win. And you know what? That is definitely 100% plausible. Most free-to-play MMOs actually are pay to win after all, but we're gonna have to wait and see what ultimately ends up happening with Mad World. You know what? Maybe they'll surprise us. Who knows? Regardless, I have been excited to see this game release. I have been watching it for well over a year now, and I'm curious to see where this ultimately ends up going. And knowing that it's right around the corner in terms of actually releasing is very promising news. But this is my opinion, my impressions of the game right now. What do you guys think though? Does this look like an MMORPG that you're gonna play later this year? Let me know down in the comments below and let's talk about it. Anyway guys, that is it for me. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe for more content like this, and I'll see you all next time.
Peace.